Good morning, Malacanang Press Corps. Welcome sa regular press briefing ni Presidential Spokesperson Ernesto Abella.
Good morning. We're pleased to have today Land Transportation Franchising and Regulatory Board, LTFRB Chair, Attorney Martin Delgara III. It is his first time in government service. He has more than 28 years of law practice and litigation work, where he handled various cases and concerns in the fields of labor, criminal, civil, administrative, and corporation law. He was a managing partner at Delgra, Lansona, and Kilatan law offices, where then Mayor Rodrigo Duterte was a client. He finished his Bachelor of Laws in Ateneo de Davao University in '87 and was admitted to the bar in '88. Ladies and gentlemen of the Malacanang Press Corps, let's all give a warm welcome to Chair Martin Delgra.
Good morning, everyone. It's my first time here, so I hope you'll understand why I am acting this way. But nevertheless, this is, as mentioned earlier, this is my first time in government. I've been a lawyer in Davao. I started my practice in Basilan for the first 3 years, working with the late Bishop Querejeta of Basilan. So after my stint in Basilan, I went back to Davao and continued my private practice of law there until the time when the President asked me to join him in his administration to head the LTFRB. I got the call on May 30, and then the next day we were called for the first cabinet meeting, during which, or even after that meeting, we were already introduced to the public, May 31, 2016. From that time on until the time when we took our oath of office in June 30, I was already working, preparing myself to the work that I am to assume a month later. So there were already a number of meetings that we have to attend to with then incoming Secretary Art Tugade, as well as our small team of DOTR officials who were already called to task to prepare for the transition. And part of the transition also was for us to meet with the outgoing team in the DOTR. So I was able to meet with then outgoing Winston Hines at my level, and then we also had meetings with then Secretary Emilio Abaya for the smooth transition in the DOTR team. So July, we started working until now, mostly on the principal issue or the principal mandate that the President had told me to do, which was to address corruption. I may recall on the evening of May 31, when we were about to be introduced to the public, he sat beside me and then he told me, "Bay, korap yang ahensya mo." So I know now, at that time, what I was tasked to do. So in the first 6 months of my term, that was precisely what I did. I took out half of the regional directors, 7 or 8 if I can recall, and a total of more than 66 or 67 to date. If you're going to ask me whether the urgency is clean, no, it is not. And we still get reports on the ground that there are reports of corruption, and we continue to address that firmly and aggressively insofar as corruption issues are concerned. We can understand, I can understand, and I can also speak on behalf of Board Member Lisada, who also comes from Davao, who also worked closely with the President before, because she was once the Chief of Staff of the Mayor of Davao. And I, being one of his lawyers, fully understand when he feels strongly about something, he really will do it. And when he said to stop corruption, that is what we are mandated to do. The first thing I did when I came in was to issue the no-gift policy. There might have been a policy before that, similar policy before that, but we took it to heart. And in one TV interview, we know that Filipinos are very gracious and generous people. And probably I will have to repeat this again, na talagang out of their own goodness, nagbibigay talaga yan sila. Eh, mahirapan din kami tumanggi. Kaya nagsabi na lang ako, please, wag na lang kayo magbigay. Para hindi naman kami mahirapan tumanggi. Yan ang pabalik-balik namin sinasabi. And it happened one time na an old woman was really insistent. Utang lang na loob lang naman. No? It's not out of bribery or anything of that sort. Eh, nagalit patuloy kung bakit tinanggian yung binibigay niya na pagkain naman. Sabi ko, wag na po. Actually, it was not me who talked to her. Pero we got those reports along the way. So even those things, yun po ang policy ng LTFRB. Yun din ang sinasabi namin sa mga empleyado namin. And very firmly, I would tell them, if you cannot live on your salary, go find work elsewhere. Yun lang po ang sinasabi namin dun sa issue ng corruption. That said, because as you have seen it in the time when we assume office, the President has been very strong about it. Nagmumura pa nga pagdating sa corruption. Pag may masabi na LTO, sasabay talaga yung LTFRB. Pag may masasabi na LTFRB, nasasabay yung LTO, no? As among those corrupt agencies. We were addressing that. But unfortunately, the real mandate of LTFRB was relegated, which is actually to provide a safe, convenient, reliable public transportation system. But, on the side, we were dealing with that. And I am proud to say, under the leadership of Secretary Tugade, that we were able to come up with this PUV modernization program, which was signed last June 19 at Camp Aguinaldo under DO, or Department Order 2017-011, which lay the groundworks, the structural and the legal framework by which we're going to move forward in this flagship program of the Duterte administration in modernizing our public transportation system. Malakihan po ito. It involves a lot of components, not just from modernizing our jeepneys, even in fleet consolidation, even having to invite government financial institution precisely to make this work. Kasi po, nalaman namin na matagal na pala itong inaasam-asam na modernization program, mga ilang administration na po. We would like to get this done, and we would like to succeed in this modernization program of the public transportation system. So yun ho ang pinakamalaking programa na ginawa namin in the past months coming up towards this. And now we have done the initial implementation towards this. There is a 3 years transition period. We hope that we would be able to meet the target, pero kung hindi man, yung 3-year po, it's but a benchmark for us, no? For us in government na pwedeng kayanin. If we would be able to finish it in shorter than 3 years, the better. Pag hindi, at least may gumagana yung sa pagpapatupad ng modernization program na ito. So, pinagmamalaki po namin itong programa na ito, and essentially, we're going to go full blast on this one. There have been a lot of things that we already have done to prepare for the modernization program. I also probably would anticipate the news of the hour or news of the week or news of the month regarding yung sa ride-sharing issue involving Uber and Grab. This much I can tell you. And I will invite you to ask questions for some clarifications later. Itong programa, ito pong problema ng Uber, hindi ho lang nag-umpisa when we issued the suspension order on August 14. Nag-umpisa na po ito last year pa lang. Kasi po, when we assume office, there were already 30,113 applications covering 32,000 units. At the time, we thought that that would already more than adequately serve demand. Okay? But there were serious issues of accountability involving the TNC. Tawag namin doon ng Uber, Grab, UHAP, TNC po sila, Transport Network Corporation. What are those serious issues of accountability? And as well as pricing. Doon na lang muna sa pangalawa kasi very, madali lang sagutin yung pangalawa yung sa pricing na yan. If you notice last Christmas, December, ang raming reklamo na mataas masyado yung surge. There was no cap. And so we have to make short our Christmas break in Davao to come here to summon the two TNCs and to clarify why there were surges. Price surge, I mean. So during that hearing, it was clarified na talagang umaabot ng mga 5-6 times as much as the normal rate yung surge. So the board immediately issued an order setting a cap of ×2 the normal rate nung panahon na yan. And that cap remains until today, regardless of what's happening to Uber right now. That cap remains. Okay? 2 times as much. I just want to give you a little details on what the pricing is all about. Yung Grab po, wala silang, kasi may flat rate, no? They have similarities to taxi. Meron silang flat rate na 40. On the basic service, meron silang premium kasi. Iba yung flat rate nun. Pareho din sa Uber, iba yung flat rate, higher. Yung sedan, yung Grab car or Uber X, ang flat rate nila is 40 pesos. But Grab, on a per kilometer basis, would have 10 to 14 pesos per kilometer. Wala silang yung time distance. So regardless of traffic, yun yung per kilometer. Distance traveled yung computation ng fare nila. Uber has both distance travel and time traveled. So 2 pesos per minute and 5 pesos 70 centavos per kilometer. Yun yung sa Uber. But we still need to verify that. No? Nevertheless, that was what was disclosed to us. Now, on the issue of accountability, ang problema namin doon is that TNC would say that they have nothing to do with the TNVS, except that they are our, what they call, independent contractor, on the principle of independent contractor. But, at the same time, if there are cases filed against Uber and its TNVS, they are very protective of their TNVS, yung Transport Network Vehicle Service. To say that if mayroong nagrereklamo ng mga pasahero, and yung pasahero magtatanong kung sino yung driver, saan kami magrereklamo ng operator, Uber would say, I cannot disclose those information, not unless the operator or the driver would consent to the disclosure of such information. The position of the board of the LTFRB is that the information that is protected under the Data Privacy Act, Republic Act 10173, would cover, in this case, private interests. But we have told Uber that the protection of the law covering private interests ends when public interest begins. Insofar as having to, when you undertake a public transportation service, then you assume a public responsibility. And that is what we have been calling the attention of Uber and Grab for that matter, na hindi pwedeng magtatago dun sa batas na yan. Kasi you are open to public scrutiny when you take in passengers for a fee. And yun. Matagal. And then on account of that, we were trying to get their data. They were very stingy, kuripot on the data, both Grab and Uber. But along the way, yung 32, nangyari, more than 2/3 of that were denied. Why? Because they were not able to comply with very easy but very important jurisdictional requirement. Ang ibig sabihin po, when you talk about jurisdictional requirement, these are requirements that you have to submit, no, to comply with the regulatory functions or regulatory powers of getting into a public transportation service. I say easy because you only need to attend hearing and submit documentary requirements. Hindi nga na lang namin alam kung bakit nahihirapan sila. Until fast forward tayo, nung nagpatawag si Senator Grace Poe, the first time that he called our attention, when we issued the July 11, 2017 order, doon na lang namin nalaman na nahihirapan pala sila, among other requirements, magsasubmit ng income tax return, which is a requirement. Because we all want to be tax compliant here, including the TNVS operators. Nahihirapan pala sila doon. Pero nevertheless, we have already dismissed 32,000. The 2/3 of the 32,000. What has happened since then? Apparently, Uber took the risk of taking in more and more TNVS into their system kahit na walang prangkisa. Doon tuloy, nalaman na lang namin yan when we called their attention, when we issued the show cause order of July 11, taking them to task why their certificate of accreditation should not be canceled because we already have apprehended 19 Uber Colorum vehicles and 16 Grab Colorum vehicles, including the UHAP. Now, during the hearing, ang sinabi nila 28,000 sa Grab. Sabi naman ng Uber, 28,000 sila. Nagulat kami because our record would only show about 10,000 pending, including those which were already given franchises or CPCs. That was the first time that we heard the numbers were that many, that huge. And we thought they were already transparent enough. And so when we required them to submit their updated database, they cannot do otherwise but comply with the order. All the more we were surprised because we got the data already a day or two before the House Committee on Transportation that was called by Chair Congressman Cesar Sarmiento. And it was in that House Committee hearing, under oath, they said, insofar as Uber is concerned, 66,000 na pala yung units nila. Grab has 55,000 units all in all. No? So that's the difficulty insofar as the board is concerned of having to engage them. But I have mentioned this many times. First, the government, particularly the Department of Transportation, has been very supportive and will continue to be supportive of this ride-sharing technology. We just want to get better regulation so that we'll be able to address a very good balance between innovation and regulation. We're not trying to stifle the technology. We just want to get the operators compliant and work with us in a transparent, even in a very transparent and honest way. Kasi po, I would like to mention this also. Nangyari, na nung nag-submit sila ng mga data, nagulat kami na 66, we did not take it at face value. We scrutinize it. The first 3 pages, we scrutinize it. In the case of Uber, mali pa yung mga data. Ibig sabihin, yung mga dinismiss namin, yung iba doon, yung dinismiss namin ng mga, makikita nyo po sa presentation, nung dinismiss ng mga TNVS, pinalitan na ng pangalan. No? Those are the difficulty that the board has to confront. Sabi namin, this is not about a fight. You're not supposed to fight us. We are supposed to work together to address common public transportation issues. Yan ang pabalik-balik namin sinasabi sa kanila. And then, that said, even if we're very firm about the existing regulations that we need to enforce, no, on the TNCs as well as the TNVS. Parallel to that, we are also very much active in the technical working group meetings that we are having with the TNCs, Grab, Uber, and Hub. We were already able to meet twice. We intend to meet again probably next week, no? But we're actually trying to gather all those data, all those proposals, so that we'll be able to, the aim of these technical working group meetings is precisely to review existing regulation, revise them, and improve on them so that hindi na magkaloko-loko doon sa pagmamanage ng TNCs at saka TNBS. Perhaps very short lang po ito, yung presentation namin sa, yung ginawa namin na presentation before, we might want to do it again. Very quickly lang po. Kai, please. Okay. Just a background, para malaman nyo kung where our mandate is coming from. No? It's an old law, but basically we're talking about which is still good law until now. No? So that means if you're somebody who would be engaged in public transport, meaning you take in a complete stranger or even a friend for a fee, then you are engaged in public transport. That's basically what it means. And therefore, you would fall under the regulatory powers of government. No? Fast forward tayo dito sa second page. No, second page. The second slide. Malayo ka na. Okay. Now, when President Cory Aquino assumed power, exercising her revolutionary powers, she created LTFRB under EO 202. No? And then reiterating the earlier law of Commonwealth Act 146, stating that LTFRB would be the main agency in regulating public transportation services. Next slide. Now, we move forward to 2016. When we came into office, I just want to put this in context. When we came into office, the Department Order 2015-011 covering TNBS and TNCs were already there. And the corresponding memorandum circulars, no? 16, 17, 18, covering TNCs, including the terms and conditions of the accreditation, as well as the rules and regulation of taking and securing franchises for TNVS, were already there. Okay? I'd just like to emphasize a few things here. Doon mismo sa existing regulation po, sinasabi na the drivers have to be registered with the LTFRB. Yun ang sinasabi ko, even last year pa, we have been asking for data from the TNCs. Ano yung data on the driver as well as the data on the operators, yung TNVS. Ngayon lang po nila sinubmit, ngayong taon lang. So yan, the vehicle, obviously there are requirements on the vehicle age, no? And then next slide. This one, we just like to point out that the initial legal and structural framework in regulating TNCs and TNVS galing sa DOTC before and DOTR now. But under that department order, we also recognize the power of Congress to legislate laws in order to address this very unique but beneficial mode of public transport. So we await legislation of Congress. We have been saying that we are very much willing, and we have been engaging them to help them craft a law that will really serve and address this type of public transportation system. So ito po, meron tayong MC 016 covering the terms and conditions of the TNC. And next slide, please. Doon po sa, nakalagay doon sa rules and regulation on the TNC po, kailangan meron silang mobile apps. Nakalagay doon sa mobile apps nila, among other things, in order to, for the protection of the passenger, nakalagay doon yung pangalan, picture, pati yung plate number ng make and plate number of the vehicle, no? as well as the ride history, pero nakalagay din doon yung case number issued by the board. So, when you take a ride, nakikita nyo na yan, nakalagay, minsan nakalagay, o karamihan, hindi lang minsan, kasi maraming kolorum nga eh, nakalagay doon, on process. Ibig sabihin po, hindi sila nakapag-apply man lang. Kasi when you file for an application of a franchise, mabibigyan na kayo ng case number. No? Even if your application is pending. Pero pag sabihin mo on process, malaking question na yan. No? Now, ID cards have to be worn during the pre-arranged ride. Nangyayari ba yan sa inyo? Taking Uber and Grab. No? So those things we have to, I have to put this in context again. I learned that these things were actually crafted with the help of the TNCs themselves. So hindi raw talaga pwede na, hindi namin alam yan. They were there when these MCs were crafted. In fact, the business model that Uber submitted to LTFRB for the purpose of securing a certificate of accreditation listed there 7 items, 4 of which says that they will comply with the rules and regulations of LTFRB. And where are we now? Far from their business model. Kasi marami talagang kolorum. And they started it last year when they started taking in TNVS even without the franchise or the permit coming from LTFRB. Trade dress is also an issue, although it's a minor issue. Kasi daw may mga issues about hindi namin alam kung ano ito, no? Even the public would not know. So we will now require a permanent, like a sticker, on the windshield of the vehicle. No? Part of the improvement that we're going. Kasi ang nangyari, yung trade dress na yan, pag may sasakay, nilalagay lang yung sign. And more often than that, hindi nilalagay. It's more complied in the breach, no? Than in its compliance. And balik tayo doon. Ito yung sinasabi ko, na nakalagay dyan na duly franchised TNBS lang po ang pwedeng kumuha ng ride. Now we have a problem. Now, again, continue please. So, there is also a requirement for them to make reportings and we have not been doing that. No? Ang position ng Uber, proprietary information po ito. Sabi ko, mukhang magkalabuan tayo dyan. Kasi lahat ng pampublikong sasakyan po are private information. Kahit na sino sa inyo, kung gusto nyo kumuha ng information for a franchise verification, you can just go to the office and secure one. So there's no proprietary interest protected for all public transportation system po. Ito, gusto kong klaruhin. Kasi po, nasasaktan yung mga tao dahil dun sa suspension. In fact, we have been very deliberate. We have been painstaking on the decision the latest decision we have made, suspending Uber. But before that, kasi alam namin yung repercussions, we imposed a fine of 5 million, if you recall, no? July 11, 2017. Now, kasi alam namin na maraming matatamaan. And we thought they have learned their lessons. No? Humirit pa nga sila na they were afraid na by July 26, baka mawawala na talaga. But they were able to file a motion for reconsideration. And that stayed the order of July 11. Now, that said, yung July 26 order was very clear. While we are talking on the side, very seriously, very vigorously, in having to come up with improved regulations, no? In having to address TNC and TNVS issues, wag na muna kayong kukuha pa o mag-accept ng applications. Kasi po, it raises a lot of false expectations on the riding public and more particularly on the TNVS. You hear such stories about people na nagsasangla ng mga lupa o bahay, umuutang sa bangko, kumukuha para makakakuha ng sasakyan para ma-i-apply sa Uber at saka Grab. No? We heard stories about that firsthand. We get calls almost every day because of that. No? And so sabi namin, wag na muna. There are too many colorums already. Okay? So, yun. Akala namin, compliant sila. That was the July 26 order. And it was very clear in that order, even the acceptance of application should not be allowed anymore. Grab was compliant, Uber was not. Because the day after that, we tried to get one government vehicle, one LTFRB vehicle, and if I may say, the service vehicle of one of the board members, nakapasok doon sa system nila. And it became active within a period of 45 minutes. On the part of Uber, sinasabi nila, we accepted but we did not activate. But the point there is the order was very clear, not even to accept. And they admitted it openly because their second to the last public statement says, we are accepting but not processing. It shows defiance on the part of Uber, while at the same time, we're trying to work this hard. We're trying to work this very hard to address this problem. Kasi po, when we are addressing, sa sinasabi ng Presidente before, that during his SONA, no, that the anti-colorum campaign will continue and it will be relentless. That was a policy statement made during the SONA. And that is precisely what we did. No? From 17 units in the first 6 months of 2016, we had over 400 units apprehended in the second. And now, we have so many colorum TNVS. We're trying to contain the problem while at the same time addressing it together with the TNCs themselves. So sabi namin, tigil muna. No? But apparently, Uber has a different one. Okay. So tuloy lang po. Very quickly na lang. Yan lang po, walang ano. Sige, diretso lang. Okay. Okay. Those are the engagement that we have made with TNCs precisely to address TNC issues. No? Sige po. So we implemented a fine, and then that is what I said earlier about 28,000, and apparently they were not accurate, much less honest about their disclosure. 66 pala at saka 55. Sige po. Updates in colorum, yun ang sinasabi namin. So ito ho, may 19 Ubers and then, yun yung sinasabi ko. Nagsasubmit sila ng mga data. When we cross-check it, iba na yung mga pangalan. Again, they were not, to say the least, accurate or plainly not honest about it, about their disclosure. Sige, sunod pa. We have Grab, yung mytaxi.ph. We have 16 of them. Pero hindi ho nila masabi na tinitira lang namin yung Grab and Uber. Because I've said, the anti-colorum campaign of this administration, according to the President, and that is what we did, relentless. Ito po, sa central office lang ito. And it's over 600,000 all over the country. Sige, tuloy na. 645 as of, ito po, 66, July to December pa lang yan, nung last year. As of the last count of this year, 645 na po. No? So, we're looking at the numbers on yung mga possible, low range on how much they're earning. No? Sige po, next. So, yun lang po, so far as that. I would rather that questions would be raised para maklarify lang yung question.
MPC questions? Laila Salaveria.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Sir, I'd just like to follow up on the status of Uber's petition that it just pay fines instead of being suspended.
Okay. Actually, if we may recall, there was a closed-door meeting that was called by Senator Grace Poe last week, last Wednesday. And there were some talks about Uber having to admit their violation, but instead of having to be suspended for 1 month, they're willing to pay a fine. They already have filed that motion last Friday, and it will be heard tomorrow. at the LTFRB. They have made their proposal is to pay twice the fine that they were previously sanctioned, which is 10,000. But we're still looking at all angles insofar as having to understand, no, the gravity of the offense that they have committed.
Sir, may I know, what are the factors that you would consider in deciding on the petition? Because some citizens are saying that they'd rather have the service back because of convenience.
Okay, since you mentioned that, let's go into not on the service muna, not on the factors. If I may use this. As I've mentioned earlier, hindi ho natin pinapatay yung ride-sharing technology. Ina-address natin yung mga problema na lumalabas in the last several months. Talagang humantong lang dito sa punto na ito. Ganito po, let's take about the two major players. Ito yung Grab, 55,000. Ito yung Uber, sabi nila 66,000. When I say sabi nila 66,000, apparently, a few days after they made that disclosure, we were able to get another data from the Insurance Commission na mukhang more than 66,000 pala. No? But I will not get into that anymore. Again, I keep on saying that let's just be transparent to each other so that we will be able to work together on this. Ano yung nasa gitna? Ito yung tinatawag na dual citizen. May Grab at saka Uber. Gaano kalaki ito? Sabi nila, 60%. Ang tinamaan lang po doon sa suspension na yan, yung dito, yung 40%. Kasi po, yung Uber na Grab din, makapagpasada pa rin. And how many is this? How many is this? Malaki. You're still looking at how many? More or less 55? And now, to further address that, we came up with a resolution, a board resolution last week, saying that the Uber drivers, exclusive Uber drivers, can migrate here, not over there, but here, no? So that they can still book a ride through the Grab system during the period of suspension. Yun. Yun yung klaro doon sa board resolution na yan. Now, that is what's happening here. Again, what is really the picture that we're looking at? Okay. I would like to borrow the illustration that was made by one TNC during one of the technical working group that we had. This is basically what is happening insofar as demand is concerned. Ito po, cite mo na lang yung example. Example na lang yung Uber. 66. Palagyan na natin 66 na ito lahat. Ang sinasabi nila na yung demand daw at any time is somewhere 12 to 15,000. Ito, sabi nila we still have to verify it. Pero ang sinasabi din nila na at any time din po, available lang is na 7 to 9,000 TNBS. You could just see the number as to why the disparity and why we still don't get a ride. Ang nangyayari pala, most of them are what you call part-time, full-time. Part-time, full-time, meron pang yung part of the part-time, meron pa silang mga maliliit. They categorize this into 5 rides a week, 10 rides a week, 40 rides a week, yung mga ganon. No? Pero ang gusto nating mangyari, na ganito, ideally, ito yung gusto nating mangyari. Ganon, equal. kung sineserve natin yung demand, this is the demand by the way, this is the TNBS available at any time, and this is the one in their system, no? Accredited. Now, ang gusto nating mangyari, that we will reach an equilibrium. Na kung yung demand na ito would be equivalent to supply. So, ang gusto nating mangyari, a number of these TNBS pupunta dito. Meaning, they will take longer hour, no, to make themselves available to address demand. Yun ang gusto nating mangyari. Yun ang pinag-uusapan namin sa technical working group. Okay? So, yun po, insofar as that one is concerned. So, pwede ko nang hindi sagutin yung mga factors kasi at the end of the day, yan talaga ang gusto nilang makita. Yan din ang gusto nating mag-i-impact doon sa lansangan.
Thank you.
Okay, Rosalie Cos?
Sir, aware po kayo na may price surge sa Grab simula nung masuspend yung Uber?
I was told
Twice.
about it and we have been monitoring it and we have told Grab to stay on the cap that we have imposed as early as December 27, 2016, where they are allowed a surge of twice as much as the basic rate. The order of December 27 stays until today.
Pero sir, since last week, talaga pong mataas yung presyo. Katunayan, hindi po ako makapag-book.
No. These are two things. I'm sorry.
Sa Grab
Hindi ka
po.
makapag-book dahil mataas ang presyo. Hindi ka makapag-book dahil hindi
ayoko pong
available.
mag-book dahil ang taas
Okay.
ng
That
presyo.
said, you give me that information and I will have to call their attention as regards that. If
Okay,
need
sir.
be, we will penalize Grab as well.
Pangalawa po, sir, recently nag-trending po sa Facebook itong post about sa chatroom ng LTFRB Citizen Enforcer na may nagka-clarify kung may sarili siyang sasakyan at nag-offer siya
okay.
ng ride sa kanyang mga kaopisina, nanghingi siya ng ambag sa parking or sa gasolina, pwede ba siyang i-fine doon? Ang sagot sa kanya ay oo daw po, katulad ng Uber. Pwede pong paki-clarify yung issue na to, sir.
Okay. Good that you mentioned that because hindi masyado ako nag-ano sa social media. But I was told about that. And then I have to clarify it with the head of the PACD, the Public Assistance Complaint Desk, who was handling that. And he told me na iba yung sagot niya doon sa nag-viral. That is why we will now be calling the NBI to investigate how that happened. Kasi iba ang lumabas doon sa nagba-viral na screenshot.
So ano po ang tamang sagot, sir?
Ang tamang sagot po ganito. Going back to the basic requirement of a public transport is that when you take in a passenger for a fee, then you undertake a public transportation service. If you don't, wala. If you take in a friend for a fee, that's it. Just like, di ba? It's a very simple rule to follow. Kaya nga nakapagtataka na hina-hype nila yan dahil nga, as it turned out, mali pala. Hindi pala yung sagot niya. Pinaklaro ko doon sa tao na nang sumagot dyan. Hindi ho yan ang sagot. Kaya gusto kong klaruhin ka talaga. Mahaba pa ho. Hindi lang ho, yes sir. Mahaba pa yung sagot niya.
Okay, thank you, Rosalie. Last question, Pia Gutierrez.
Hi, sir. Sir, after ng suspension ng Uber, many netizens flooded the social media on reports of rude taxi drivers na nagre-refuse silang isakay, lalo na nung malakas ang ulan. Can we also get an assurance, sir, that the LTFRB will be addressing these concerns?
We are addressing. On several factors po. Kasi po, we're in fact going to meet with the largest taxi operation organization in the Philippines, yung grupo nila, Bong Suntay, tomorrow at 3 o'clock in the afternoon at LTFRB to address not only that issue, but moving forward, the mobile apps that they have put in place, the issue about having to address adding in more taxi, but we would like to get the help of the transport planners and the expert of UP on how to calibrate giving or opening up more franchises, again, to address supply of taxi. To put in more supply in order to address demand.
Okay, thank
Another question, sir. Sir, I understand that the LTFRB has ordered a new player, Arcade City, to stop its operations. But Arcade City is now saying that the LTFRB cannot regulate them like Uber and Grab because they do not fall under the definition of a TNC. So ano po ang sagot natin dito, sir?
So long as the TNC would actually be taking a fee insofar as connecting the driver with the rider, then that would fall under the basic concept of a TNC.
Nakita ko kasi, sir, dun sa definition, dapat preset yung compensation.
Apo.
Ang sinasabi ng Arcade City, sir, na bahala na mag-usap yung driver and its passenger kung magkano yung ibabayad. So, how is that the same with a TNC, sir?
I hope they will not be like the other TNC. If they want to be clarified about the regulatory framework under which a TNC is supposed to work, they might as well come to us and clarify these things.
Last na lang po, sir. What message do you have as well to Wonder Carpool and Angkas, who apparently also operate without franchises?
Yung Angkas po, ang pagkaalam namin sa Angkas, yung mga motorcycles, insofar as LTFRB is concerned, yung jurisdiction po namin yung sa yung four-wheeled vehicle. And we understand that there are a number of LGUs who are for, and some of them are against this type of public, to make a motorcycle a mode of public transport. But if you're going to ask LTFRB, that is not a safe and convenient mode of public transport. That is why our position there is not to endorse angkas. And for that matter, motorcycle as a mode of public transport. Because that is unsafe and inconvenient to
Yung
the riding
Wonderpool,
public.
sir. Wonderpool po.
Yung Wonderpool po would also fall under the concept of the TNC. And that is why we recall that we have issued an advisory calling on Wonderpool to stop their operation.
Okay, thank you. Last question.
Sir, balikan ko lang sa taxis because you were very quick in penalizing Uber and Grab. What are you doing about these taxis? Taxi drivers who keep on refusing passengers, especially when it's raining. It's rainy season.
Mm-hmm.
What are the specific sanctions that you have imposed to these drivers? How many drivers were sanctioned? And how are these sanctions determined against these taxi drivers who refuse passengers? Because that's the main problem. And sir, about Grab and Uber, may clarification din ako doon kasi Grab and Uber are not really on the same boat because sa Uber, sir, the driver does not see the destination.
Okay.
So you have greater chances of securing a booking with Uber. Kasi hindi nila alam kung saan ka pupunta. Pag nag-book ako ng Malacanang, nag-book ako ng SM Fairview, hindi nila malalaman, ay, SM Fairview pala itong layo.
So that's
Diba?
basically the reason why...
No, siya sa kanya Grab. Yung Grab kasi, sir, nakikita nila na SM Fairview ako pupunta.
Yeah,
they can always refuse. Yung Uber, they can't refuse. They will just, pag sakay ko, they will just be surprised, SM Fairview pala to pupunta. So they are not really exactly this. I mean,
You want it to be the
TNCs
same? Then we will make it, we will regulate it that way. The point there is something. First, I will just like to...
The taxi drivers who refuse passengers first.
Okay. First, before I will answer that, I would just like to discount the misimpression that you have created, that we are quick to violate Uber and Grab. You mentioned that in the first part. We are not quick. In fact, we came too late to realize how big the problem was. Yun ang gusto kong klaruhin sa inyo. And insofar as mga pasaway na taxi, matagal na po, two-prong approach po ito. Carrot and stick. We have made parangal on yung mga taxi driver na talagang magalang, mabait, yung mga ganon. At the same time, yung Oplan Istabero namin has been there all throughout every day of the year. So, yung mga, as to the statistics and as to how we have resolved these cases po, I don't have it right now, but I can assure you we're also hitting pasaway ng mga taxi drivers po. That said, on the institutional reforms that we need to address, if you might have heard that we already have launched as early as June the Drivers Academy program. And last week, we started the first batch of Drivers Academy seminars all throughout the country, hindi lang po sa Metro Manila, all throughout the country. On the first day po, we already have 733 drivers. Kasama na po all types of public utility vehicle drivers. Kasama yung taxi, bus, UV, PUJ of all sorts. So this will continue at least 2 times a week. And if the regional offices can accommodate more schedules during the week, then let them. But there would be at least two days, Thursdays and Fridays, every week, until we would be able to educate the drivers of their responsibility as public utility drivers. I'd just like to point out this Drivers Academy program. This is an institutional program that we have put in place. Malaki po ito. And then we would like to thank the help given to us by the top 3 universities, UP, Ateneo, LaSalle, in coming up with the modules for this Drivers Academy program. There are even programs on anger management, on traffic rules, no? As well as the driver having to understand the terms and conditions of the franchise. Kasi po, ang nangyayari, pag mayroong mga pasaway na taxi driver, ang tinatamaan, yung may hawak ng prangkisa. And that is the operator. Yung taxi driver, no, they can just get away with it. Pag papatalsikin ng operator, lilipat lang doon sa kabila. No? Pero that is what we're trying to address, na pati yung driver would really be able to take it to heart, that public responsibility, that pagkahawak siya ng nobela, no less than the lives and limbs of his passenger, it's at stake. Yun ang kinaklaro namin doon. So we hope that moving forward, in a very positive manner, this Drivers Academy program will have a very positive impact.
Pero sir, wala po kayong figure, exact figure like
I can give it to you later.
Na na-sanction na erring taxi drivers.
Okay. We talk about taxi drivers po. Drivers.
Yes.
Okay. What we do is like this. The figures wala po. Sa ngayon. But we can get it to you this afternoon if you want. No? Now, sa ganito, LTFRB has jurisdiction over franchises. Ibig sabihin, public utility vehicles. But we also sanction, not necessarily sanction at first, but we would recommend to LTO to sanction them. Kasi ang drivers po, ang may jurisdiction, yung LTO. Sila po ang may, So we recommend the sanction. It could be cancellation, it could be suspension, 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, or cancellation of their license. And then it's now up to LTO to make that judgment kasi sila naman din po ang may jurisdiction over all drivers.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, LTFRB Chair Attorney Martin Delgra, Presidential Spokesperson Ernesto Abella.
Good morning. On the Southeast Asian Games update. The Philippines continues to reap medals in the ongoing Southeast Asian Games in Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia. As of 7 p.m. last night, we have 3 gold, 6 silver, and 6 bronze medals. We'd like to congratulate Samantha Catantan and Maxine Esteban for finishing with silver and bronze medals, respectively in women's foil individual. Also, Agatha Christensen Wong likewise got a silver medal for the country in Wushu women's. Taiji Jan, while Rizalyn Amolacion, Cristel Carloman, Mary Ann Lopez, Lena Mangubat, and Jean Marie Sukalit of the women's Regu Sepak Takraw gave us a bronze medal. And to the rest of the Team Philippines, we wish them the best of luck. On the rescue of the Vietnamese sailor, we welcome the good news that our troops rescued a Vietnamese sailor from the hands of the Abu Sayyaf group in Basilan last weekend. Dotru Huike is in high spirits and now in Zamboanga undergoing medical checkup and debriefing. Our operations against the members of the ASG remain focused and intense, especially as they continue their acts of violence and terrorism, the most recent of which is the attack during a town fiesta in Maluso in Basilan. Also, we have a statement which is coming from, the official statement coming from the AFP regarding a dubious group called PADEM. Camp General Emilio Aguinaldo, Quezon City. The AFP categorically denies the recent statement issued by a group that pretends to be a representative of the men and women of the AFP and the PNP and call themselves the Patriotic and Democratic Movement, PADEM. The entire AFP, along with all the men and women of the uniformed services and all our civilian personnel, stand by the constitutionally mandated government and unequivocally support the Commander-in-Chief. The accusations and issues cited by the group are unfounded and uncalled for, and such issues are clearly politically motivated and a matter that the AFP does not and will not subscribe to. Current developments and issues that this group wishes to take advantage of is now being addressed by the DOJ, and parties to a possible crime are now under detention. Let us respect these processes and not allow ourselves to be used by individuals or groups with vested interests. We appeal for sobriety, reason, and patience as we await the results of these processes. We are constitutionally mandated protectors of the people, and we will stand by our law-abiding citizens whenever and wherever we are needed. Having affirmed this, the AFP, however, will not hesitate in acting against forces who shall undermine the stability and security of our country and those who wish to destabilize our nation through unconstitutional means. The AFP appeals to the public and the various political groups to respect the apolitical stance of the AFP and to help bring unity and healing instead of fomenting divisiveness and collapse. We also express our sincerest condolences to the family of the Filipino boy who died during the Barcelona attack. We extend sympathies to those who lost their loved ones and pray for the swift recovery of all those injured by this senseless act of violence. The Department of Foreign Affairs continues to extend assistance to our kababayans affected by this heinous terrorist act. As of the 22nd of August, day 92 of the rebellion in Marawi, enemies killed 582 or an additional 2. Civilians killed, no change. Firearms recovered 648 or plus 8. Civilians rescued 1,728, no change. Buildings cleared 28. Yesterday, as of August 2014, killed in action 129. Donations. For the AFP killed in action and their families, the balance is now at 35,674 and 203 centavos. And for the Marawi IDPs, we have a 938,695.21. We are open to a few questions.
Maricel Halili, TV5. Microphone, please.
Hi, sir. Good morning. Sir, just to follow up about the appointment of La Peña, why does the President personally choose La Peña to replace Faeldon as Commissioner of Bureau of Customs? And what does the President expect from him?
Honesty and trustworthiness. I think the President made clear that the reason why he chooses men, especially from the military, who happen to be coming from the military, is the fact that they are very efficient, and they're quite efficient, and they're trustworthy as far as the President is concerned.
But given that La Peña came from PIDEA, do we now expect a drug-free customs, BOC?
A drug-free customs? Yes. I don't know if that is the mandate for Mr. La Peña, but the mandate is to keep it trustworthy, clean, and corruption-free.
And may plano po ba si Presidente, sir, to reappoint Faeldon to other government positions, given that sinabi naman ni Presidente that he still believes?
Yes, based on his statements, apparently Mr. Faeldon still maintains the President's trust, and I'm sure the President will find situations for him to be of use.
Last na lang po, sir. Ano yung nag-trigger kay Presidente? Bakit finally nag-decide siya to accept the resignation of Faeldon after 3 attempts to file resignation?
We don't know the exact tipping point, but the fact is that he finally made the decision.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, MPC, no more questions. Laila Salaveria.
Good morning, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Sir, does Malacanang still see the need to constitute an independent fact-finding body to investigate the death of Kian de los Santos, as suggested by some officials?
At this stage, I don't know if there's going to be any intervention. I believe, if you understand it right, that I believe the president will just follow whatever is the way the things are unfolding at this stage.
Sir, what do you mean?
The way it's being investigated. Are you talking about an independent, right?
Fact-finding.
The fact-finding will be. That will be his call.
Sir, do you think the current investigation headed by government agencies would suffice?
I think we should trust the process. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Hannah Sancho.
Good morning, sir. Sir, ano po yung magiging agenda ng courtesy call ni Australian Secret Intelligence Service Director General Nicholas Peter Warner kay President Duterte this afternoon?
Hindi po, wala pong naka-set na agenda, but they definitely are going to be meeting up.
Okay.
Sir, yung last question, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
Yung regarding po sa sentiments ng ilang sumali sa rally kay Kian
Opo.
last night, they were saying na out of control na po ang Pangulong Duterte dun sa issue ng pag-handle ng police sa Anti-Drug War Corporation at tila kinokontrol na po siya ng yung mga police, kinokontrol na din yung Pangulo.
I think they misread the situation. The president is very concerned that these things will be properly handled and properly managed.
Pero hindi totoo, sir, na walang control yung Pangulo. dun sa
Malinaw
drug
naman na the president is in full control.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you. Last question, Philip Tubez.
Sir, good morning. Follow-up lang po dun sa PADEM. Ano po yung assessment ng Palacio sa grupong ito? Is it just a small group?
Well, I don't know, but we base our statement on the AFP's own assessment that it is a politically motivated group, and that we should be wary of their statements.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Sure.
Okay, last question. May patanong lang spokesperson.
Opo.
Totoo daw po yung offer ni President Duterte kay Doris Bigornia na maging DSWD Secretary.
Totoo man o hindi, tinanggihan ni Doris, di ba?
Okay, thank you Malahanyang Press Corps. Thank you Presidential Spokesperson
Sure.
Ernesto Abella and Attorney Martin Delgra,
Sir.
LTF-RB Chair. Back to our main studio sa Radyo Pilipinas and PTV.